Welcome to episode 110 of Enhancing Human Experience podcast. I'm Mark Phillips, and I am really glad you tuned in today. We're going to be talking about an idea that is so powerful to help you create the change that you want to see in your life and help you get into different orbits in your life, different stratospheres, right? And that is perception. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the perception predicament that we all find ourselves in. And what I mean by that is we want to create change in our lives. We want to create business opportunities. We want to serve. We want to make an impact in the world. We want to do all these things, all these amazing things, have these amazing experiences, constantly be up-leveling our life, right? That's when life gets really fun. We came here to experience more. We came here for the expansion. We came here to do everything and see everything and have a lot of things, have experiences. I'm not talking about material things, right? Not like accumulating or hoarding stuff, but we really came for the experience that we get through those things. So don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me when I talk about that. But we came here to have more. We came here to be, do, and have more. The perception predicament comes into play here when being, doing, having more has to occur at a level of consciousness, has to occur in our own psyche, right? In our mindset and the way we see ourselves, specifically the way we perceive ourselves. And so when I say I keep on wanting to say the perfectionist predicament because that's a whole other book. But when I say the perception predicament, what I mean is what comes first, your change in experience or the way you perceive yourself? And as a conscious creator, you know the answer to that question is it's the way you perceive yourself. However, because all of our senses are oriented outward and because we're constantly taking stimuli and feedback from the world that is around us and specifically our own world, right? Our own business, whatever we're doing, whatever the work we're doing, the person we have been, right? All of that information and content is feeding into our self-perception, and it's constantly reaffirming itself as we go through life. Therein lies the problem. The perception, our self-perception is constantly being bolstered and reaffirmed because of the life we have been living, because of the things we have been perceiving, specifically about ourselves, what we're capable of, what we know, what is our opportunity. That self-perception and that life perception that we have of ourselves and our lives and our business and our capabilities and all those things get self-perpetuated. And then we do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We have the same experiences over and over, expecting a different result. Can you see the problem? Of course you see the problem. That's total insanity. So the perception predicament really is predicated on this idea that we need to change our perception first, and then we'll change our actions. Then we change what we have in the world. But it begins within, and it's a predicament because that's difficult when we have all of this stimuli that is around us, the things that we've created, right? The structures we've created in our life and in our business, our personal life, all of these things are pointing back and feeding into our perception a different image than we want to have because we want to grow, we want to have better experiences, we want to find more meaning and fulfillment and realize more prosperity, have more money flowing into our lives, better relationships, all those things that we want. We have to change the way we perceive ourselves and our life in order for that to happen. Now, herein lies the $100,000 question. It always comes back to doing the work. I'm just as guilty in my own life, letting that slide. I always equate it, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, that it comes back. It's like going to the gym, right? If we stop lifting a weight, the muscle stops growing and we revert. That's why we have to constantly go in and work on our perception and make sure that we're designing our perception in a way that supports the experiences that we want to have. And what I mean by that is we know that what we are comes to us, and what we are, we will do, and then we will ultimately have. And so that's why I think it's so powerful to talk about self-perception. And if you've listened to the podcast before or seen some of my videos on YouTube, you know that I'm a really big fan of doing one thing, changing who you are, who you perceive yourself to be. And when you change that one thing, everything else changes automatically. Because when you show up in the world as a different person, when I show up in the world as a different person, you're going to get different results. I'm going to get different results. We're going to do things that are in alignment with who we are, who we've decided we want to be, or who we've decided we want to perceive ourselves as being, right? And so when you change your self-perception, everything else becomes a cascade effect and changes automatically. That's why I think the power of self-concept and self-image is really so important, because otherwise we're constantly asking ourselves, what should I do? How should I do it? All of those things. Now, those ideas are important, but what is more important is becoming that person, right? Changing the I am, changing our self-concept, our core identity, who we really are. And then everything else changes automatically. It's much easier to press one button, one self-concept button, one self-perception button, and then have it create the change in all the other areas of our lives in a like a conscious way, right? Like a very easier way. Let's put it that way. Then you don't have to worry about being this person in this area or doing this thing or having this thing. All of those things, they come as a natural byproduct. So how do we do this, right? Well, we do it like anything else. We put the time in on a daily consistent basis to write down how we want to perceive ourselves and how we should perceive ourselves in order to affect the change that we want in our lives. And that happens in morning rituals, that happens in visualization or emotionalization, right? When you're adopting the feelings that you would have when you're having those experiences. But the thing of it is with perception is this. So we know how to do it, right? We build it into our daily ritual. We make sure we give the time each day to remind ourselves how we want to perceive ourselves, and making lists, making images, finding vision boards, stuff like that, specifically related to self-perception. But the one thing that I want to share that I think is really important and really valuable to understand in this episode is that who you are or who you will be, any combination of who you will be or would be, is already here now. The universe is a closed system. There's nothing coming in or out. You saying you're this way or me saying I'm this way is just a choice of how we perceive ourselves, right? So what I'm getting at is your everything, your infinite possibilities bundled up in a human being. And self-perception is your choice on how you choose to perceive yourself. It's my choice on how I choose to perceive myself. If we don't have the results that we want in life, we always have to come back to who are we being and who are we perceiving ourselves to be, right? Because it all comes back to that. So what I'm saying is you can be anything you want as long as you change your perception to match that, right? To support that. Let's look at the definition of perception. So the definition of perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. Again, back to those 5 senses that are helpful to us. Obviously, we need our senses in order to navigate the world. But when it comes to creating change and affecting positive change in our life, the senses are really our stumbling block, aren't they? Because the senses are constantly reflecting back to us what we have been. They don't work very well the other way around. They don't work to say what you could be or what we want to be. The senses always reflect back what we have been. And so this is where personal transformation and change can become a little bit challenging, right? You're up to it. I know that you are. We're all up to it because we have that ability to create our lives. But we have to tune out the senses. We have to look within and develop that idea within, that self-concept, and perceive ourselves as being that person. Again, tuning out all the five senses without yourself, and then tune into who you want to perceive yourself to be. So the perfectionist, I keep on wanting to say the perfectionist predicament. The perception predicament is getting over the five senses, tuning within, and becoming aware. Right here in the definition, it's the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something. And that something is your new self, or the qualities that you want to develop within yourself. Now remember, within you is everything. Within human beings is microcosm of the universe. There's nothing new being created. You have it within yourself. Everything's within yourself. Infinite potentiality to be, do, or have whatever you want. But you have to perceive that first. I think it's really powerful. And when I get a little off track in my own business and my own life, I always come back to this core concept. And I'll tell you something, it is always the result of letting some of those daily practices, working on state of being, working on the I am process. It's always a result of not doing that in a consistent way. And so when you come back to those foundational, fundamental practices, everything starts to tune up. And I'm sure you've seen this in your own life. You take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit and you start to slow down. And by that, I mean, stop doing those rituals and those, taking the time to see yourself as this person, perceive yourself as the person you want to be, and lining up with the experiences that you want to have, because that's really how it's done. Becoming aware of yourself being that person, because again, you have it within you to do that. So that is the perception predicament. I hope this episode has been helpful and will help you get back on track, more in alignment with the things and experiences that you want to have, with the projects that you want to complete in your business or your life, and line up with those things. Because again, nothing can change unless we change. This is what happens when human beings get in a rut. They're doing the same thing every day. They're having the same experiences. Life's just not meant to be that way, right? We came here to experience more and to make a bigger impact in the world, create really joyously, and have that flow coming through us all the time, right? To open that channel so that the ideas and the inspiration can come into our lives and in our business in a fun way. And so we're not constricting ourselves or overthinking, doing that kind of stuff, opening that channel. So before we wrap up the podcast, let me remind you that if you haven't visited the Focus and Flow store lately, you can do so at focusandflow.co. A while back, I posted a picture of one of the newest additions to the store that I'm really, really excited about. You can check it out on my Instagram at gmarkphillips. And that is the Preferred Experiences mug. You might be aware of the Preferred Experiences shirt, which is taking really all of the peak experiences, the high vibrational experiences that we all want, right? Passion, purpose, and meaning, joy, bliss, happiness, all of those things, and putting it on a shirt. There's power in the spoken word, right? There's power even on an osmosis level from wearing those high vibrational words, from drinking out of the high vibrational cup. The Preferred Experiences mug turned out really well. It comes in two versions, a black version or a white version. The text is inverted on either one, depending on what style you like. I shared a picture of the black version. You can see the white version up on the Focus and Flow website, or you can also follow Focus and Flow at Focus and Flow CO. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. But I shared that on my personal Instagram page at gmarkphillips. But I really think it turned out really awesome. So you have the option of either the black version or the white version. And as we go forward, I'm definitely going to be experimenting and playing with this Preferred Experiences concept and putting on different things, maybe even developing different creative font, playing with the font a little bit and doing different things, and doing more with the shirts. So I haven't been giving Focus and Flow the love that I need to be giving it, that I want to be giving it, because I've been working on some other projects, developing some courses and tweaking stuff with, the way that I'm presenting stuff on YouTube and social media, just kind of playing around there a little bit. But eventually here, when I get these other things going, I'm going to dive back into Focus and Flow and create some new products. The ideas are still coming through. It's just executing those ideas has taken a little bit of a back seat as I work on some of the other course content and stuff like that I want to get off my plate. It's like you have these projects flying around, and landing them is, you got to land them one thing at a time. So sometimes that gets a little bit, well, in fact, I've got the Preferred Experiences mug, hanging out here right by me as I record this podcast as I look over. And I think it just turned out really, really well. So you can check that out at focusandflow.co. And I hope you got some value out of this podcast. If you did, that would be super awesome. If you would leave a comment beneath this episode when it goes up on YouTube, this perception predicament, and share your experience. I mean, when you get off track, do you get back on track by returning to what I call like the home, the foundation of being, and perceiving yourself as that person, working with your perception and tuning out the senses? I'd love to get your feedback. You can check this episode out when it goes up on YouTube at youtube.com/gmarkphillips. While you're there, consider subscribing. I'm working on a bunch of new content and pushing it up on YouTube, including On the Go series, which I'm very excited to share with you. A few episodes are up there. And that is my latest offering that I've been working on and producing, just to share more of the knowledge and wisdom that we all need in order to have better experiences in life. Ideas and insights that will help you on your journey, help you get where you want to be faster, more efficiently, and have more fun in the process. So that is On the Go with Mark Phillips. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. It's my newest content stream there. I'm really excited to see where that goes. And as I talk about in the first episode, I'm going to let it evolve in the way that it wants to evolve. I've come to the conclusion this far in my journey, in my business journey here, is that, when I kind of get out of the way and let things evolve in the way that they want to evolve, definitely also listening to feedback from you, things just work out better. More often than not, the way that I think something's going to be ends up being a little bit different. And so as you are on your journey, I too am letting myself be guided to, be helpful in the right way, do the right things, serve you in the best way that you need to be served, right? Kind of get out of the way and not overthink too much and allow things to come to me, the ideas and the way to kind of present this stuff in a way that's helpful, right? In a way that also resonates with who I am and how I want to show up in the world. And so that's kind of what I'm doing there on YouTube, but I'm definitely putting a lot of energy into YouTube. I'm really enjoying YouTube and getting a lot of engagement from YouTube viewers. So if you're a YouTube fan, definitely check out my page at youtube.com/gmarkphillips. And until next time, I want to thank you for listening to the podcast. I so appreciate you and the fact that you're supporting me on my journey and sharing this knowledge. I really am passionate about this. I think I keep coming back to this idea that, what does the world need and how can I, help people on their journey? Because this is quite a bit different than what I had done and what I went, did the first part of my life, right? Working in the design industry. And I got a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment from that. But this pivot into personal transformation and personal development and really spreading, insights and wisdom and knowledge that we all need to have better experiences in life really is in full alignment with who I am and fills my cup up on a daily basis. And I get so much out of it. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you. I want to thank you for listening. So until next time, I do wish you all the best, health, wealth, and success. Bye-bye.